Peter, you can go ahead and live stream as soon as you see the audience come in.
And Dr. Beasley's first.
Good morning, everyone. On behalf of the Clayton County Board of Education, staff, and students, welcome to the 2021 College and Career Workforce Development Fireside Chat. It's virtual, but nonetheless, it's a fireside chat. I'm excited to have the opportunity to join you today as we have this most important dialogue regarding ways your organizations can partner with Clayton County Public Schools in preparing our students for college and future careers in highly skilled, high wage, and in high demand occupations. I believe we are in for a great conversation. This conversation is an extension of one that we've had recently with our regional and some outside of the region college presidents, wherein basically we were discussing opportunities that existed at those post-secondary institutions for our students in Clayton County to pursue and prepare themselves for careers. We're excited that you have joined us today. We're honored that you've joined us today. Now, without further delay, I would like to turn the program over to Dr. Ebony Lee, Assistant Superintendent of Curriculum, Instruction, and Assessment, who will be presiding over the program. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Beasley, and hello, everyone. Thank you so much for joining us. I am extremely excited to be moderating today's very necessary discussion on workforce development. But before we get started, if you're streaming with us with YouTube, go ahead and hit that like button so that we know that you're watching. Well, students, we have a very informative discussion planned for you today. We are not here to talk about test scores and grades, but something fundamentally more important, your future career opportunities. And often you ask us, what are your options after graduating? And your counselor really is a great point of contact to help you navigate that question. But essentially, there is not a one-size-fits-all response because there are multiple opportunities and options. And depending on your interests, the job market, as well as how well you're utilizing your high school experience, you can definitely get a head start to a career. And so that's why we're here today. We want you to be well informed, well exposed, and yes, definitely well exposed and well skilled so that you have the tools you need for a high quality life. And a part of having a high quality life is definitely being employed with a livable wage. So we've pulled together today an expert panel that consists of employers as well as those immediately impacting the workforce development. And they're going to share with you what are the trends in the job market, which jobs are in high demand, and what are the skills needed to help you retool and reskill and be ready to secure those professions either after graduation or possibly for some of you before graduation. But ultimately, we want you to be informed so that you can make the best decision for your future career. So without further delay, I'm going to turn it over to Ms. Mary Shepard, who will set the purpose for today and bring the formal occasion. Ms. Shepard, at this time, you may proceed. Ms. Shepard, are you muted?
I apologize. Good morning, everybody. Thank you, Dr. Lee, and good morning, Dr. Beasley, and thank you. The purpose of the Fireside Chat is to inform the business community and higher education about Clayton County Public Schools, CTAED programs, and to prepare students not only for college, but also for careers. Today, we serve as an opportunity to share how business and industry can be actively involved in preparing students for high-demand careers and high-demand occupations. The Bureau of the Statistics reports that there is a shortage of qualified, skilled, and professional workers in the United States today. The shortage would be even greater, especially in the fields that require proficiency in math, science, engineering, and technology. Today's conversation is designed to be a major step towards strengthening private partnerships to address the shortage in Clayton County and the state of Georgia. Some of the attendees here today have worked with Clayton County Public Schools in various capacities, but not necessarily with the intent of helping to strengthen the economic viability of Georgia. We hope that at the end of today's conversation, many of you will be ready to partner with our school district in new and exciting ways. Before transitioning into the student testimonials, I would like to acknowledge the CTAE district level team and all of the CTAE teachers, students, and CTAE supervisors. We thank you for all that you do, and we look forward to ending this year with a successful school year.
Thank you, Mary. And Mary, thank you as the director for your vision of bringing this expert panel together today. So you all, we're going to go ahead and start our discussion, and we're going to kick it off by hearing from our students, our most prized possession, and they're the core business of what we do. So we have two students here today, and they're going to share how CTAE and early career preparation has made a positive impact on their lives. So we're going to first hear from Jordan Madden, who's a junior at Mount Zion High School, and following Jordan, Akiriana Reed from Munnies Mill High School will share. So Jordan, you have the floor.
Good morning, everyone. Hello, my name is Jordan Madden, and again, I'm a junior at Mount Zion High School. I'm currently enrolled at the Work-Based Learning through our district's Career Technical Agriculture Education Department. Through this program, I have more time as an intern and legislative aide at the Georgia House of Representatives to network with politicians, community leaders, activists, policy analysts, and others who help to craft policies and legislations that impact my community, my state, and my country. Being in work-based learning has helped me to develop professional skills that will help far beyond graduation as I move into my ideal career into politics. This great program opens the opportunity to network with individuals I would never see myself meeting with and working with. To the White House staff, leaders in Congress, to local and state level, like the governor and many local representatives and senators. I am truly grateful and honored to be a part of a program that gives students the opportunity to thrive and build innovative mindsets and portfolios to be successful for decades to come. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Jordan, for sharing. Is Akiriana on? Okay, so Akiriana may not be on yet to share with us, but Jordan, I heard you just really highlight the idea of being able to network, having more time, and really getting that head start into your passion for politics. And so we're so grateful that you've taken advantage of your high school resources as well as these partnerships to get an advanced and accelerated start. So thank you so much for sharing. Akiriana, she participated in our Firefighters Apprenticeship Academy graduation program, which was a model, and we'll later hear from Captain Jody Weller, who will expound upon it. But it was amazing to see. I think we had about 12 scholars who had a triple accomplishment. They were high school graduates, they were CTAE pathway completers, and they finished the Firefighter EMS Academy and were offered jobs on the spot, making a great salary. So I just think that was a great model of why we're here today, to establish that pipeline from high school to career. So we have several students who could share similar stories to Jordan, but not enough. So we're here today to really dig into the question of how can we work together, the school systems with our business industry, to have a greater impact on our students' readiness and to ensure that our students' career choices positively impact Clayton County as well as the Georgia economy. So before we jump into the remaining questions, we're going to have 3 brief presentations by expert panel members who will talk about the job trends, the workforce economy, and the skills that employers are looking for today. So we'll start with Ms. Valencia Williamson, who is the president and CEO of Clayton County Chamber of Commerce, Following Valencia, we will hear from Mr. Bob Bradley, our Director of Workforce Development with Mechanical Contractors Association of Georgia, which is one of the largest organizations in Georgia representing heating, ventilation, air conditioning, refrigeration, and plumbing industry. And lastly, we will hear from Dr. Kendrick Carroll, who is the Chief Executive Officer for Business, Staffing, and Innovation, and he will expound upon the virtual reality, cybersecurity, and artificial intelligence world. So, Ms. Williamson, I'll turn it over to you. And as Ms. Williamson is speaking, students, go ahead and take out those ways you can take notes. You never know, you may get extra credit for being here today. Ms. Williamson?
Thank you so much for having me this morning. It's my pleasure to join you for this fireside chat. Any opportunity that the Chamber of Commerce has to connect with students at the K through 12 level, as well as talk about the business community, is exactly what we're here to do. So the Chamber of Commerce, our mission, I'll start there, is to enhance the quality of life through economic progress. And the way we do that is by first educating our students and equipping them with the tools and the resources needed to go out and to earn a livable wage, but to also build a career in something that they're excited about doing. And then ultimately keeping them here at home. So we have a few things that we're charged with as a chamber, and by connecting our students with the needs of the business community, we can help to create programs and classes and curriculum around what's actually happening in the workplace. I call that workplace realities. So a few things. First off, the Chamber of Commerce is connected with Clayton County Public Schools through our Principal Partners program. So through that, we are educating principals on the needs of the business community, but business owners have an opportunity to hear what's happening in the classroom and connecting with our students so that we can start to build a relationship. I heard the word pipeline being used. So in workforce development, we are charged with creating a workforce pipeline of students and talent so that we can then pair students or talent, if you will, with the needs of our employers. So the top industries in Clayton continue to be food service manufacturing, distribution, logistics, warehousing. However, the jobs that are in high demand nationally are healthcare, finance, technology, and engineering. Those are the top sectors that are in demand. And so you mentioned math, science, engineering, and technology in your opening remarks, Dr. Shepard. And I think that that is very important for students to understand not only what the top jobs are that are in demand, but also the leading industries in their county in which they live and in the area in which they live, and then pairing it with institutions of higher learning that are offering programs in these particular industries. And so everyone will have a different path. At the Chamber, we are here to help connect you with postgraduate success at the 2-year, 4-year, or directly into the workforce, if that is what your path is. And there are opportunities for everyone at that level. So with that, I will turn it over to the next speaker or take any questions that anyone may have for me with regards to the workforce and what the Chamber is doing to make that connection.
Thank you, Ms. Williamson. Could you just very quickly repeat what you stated were the high demand areas for our local Clayton County and then beyond?
Yeah, so leading industries in Clayton, like I said, continue to be food service manufacturing, distribution, logistics, and warehousing. And the top jobs that are in demand, or the industries that are in high demand currently nationally, are healthcare, finance, technology, and engineering.
Thank you so much. Thank you. I know our students are capturing those notes. Okay, Mr. Bradley, could you speak to us about your area of work development and trade skill development?
Sure. Good morning. Thank you first for the opportunity to speak today. I'm really excited about speaking to the young people in Clayton County. I represent about 100 contractors in the industrial and commercial mechanical piping industry. They complete construction projects like Mercedes-Benz Stadium, SunTrust Park, the Atlanta Aquarium, hospitals, schools, data centers, and skyscrapers. Our contractors employ plumbers, welders, pipe fitters, and HVAC service techs as well as accountants, engineers, project managers, estimators, and other positions. We are part of the skilled trades industry, and a skilled trade is a position where the individuals learn a specific skill for the job. Usually that job comes with on-the-job training or certification training. Our plumbers, welders, and pipe fitters and service techs have full-time jobs where they also attend our apprenticeship school. The apprenticeship school is paid for by our contractors, so there's no cost. And when they finish school, they're fully licensed and certified in the area and the skill that they're in the school for. The thing is our employees, after 5 years in the apprenticeship school, they're making about $65,000 a year, not counting the benefits. So that's a great package right there. Considering a 23-year-old in the industry, 24-year-old in the industry can make up to $65,000 and have their benefits on top of that. I come to you today as an educator. I spent 37 years as a teacher and a coach and an assistant principal. And I was guilty too, saying there's only one path. You got to go to college. You got to go to a 4-year college and get a bachelor's degree. And that's simply not the case. There are great careers available as long as a person's willing to work hard and be accountable and be teachable. These are the soft skills that employers are looking for. But make sure whatever path you take, there's continued training and education. If there's not continued training and education, then you've got a job and not a career. And there's little chance for growth or advancement. Lastly, I encourage our young people to make a plan for their future and investigate that plan. Ask your teachers, ask your counselors questions. That's going to give you help for the future. The schools offer the CTAED courses, the dual enrollment courses, the work-based learning courses. Take those opportunities and get the experience, and that way you're not wasting your time. You're finding out what you want to do. Don't waste time, energy, and money doing something that's not going to benefit you in the future. I'm going to give a stat. 27% of the high school seniors get a bachelor's degree and work in the field where their diploma is. Another 40% go to college and get that diploma, but aren't working in that field or don't finish college. Whatever you do to make sure there's continued education and training. I worry about our student debt for school loans. If kids are taking $30,000 in student loans and not working in the field that the diploma is in. Lastly, the Clayton County School System and the Clayton County Chamber of Commerce is hosting a webinar March 16th at 6:30 for all the parents and students of Clayton County. It's called A Parent's Guide to Choices and Options for the High School Student. We'll discuss all the options for a successful career after high school. We'll have close to 25 breakout sessions after the webinar so that parents and students can go ask specific questions and get answers for their career choices. I hope you'll attend, and if you have any questions, please don't hesitate to ask. I'll put my information in the chat box. Reach out to me anytime. I'll help any way I can. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Bradley. And in the chat box, could you also put details regarding the event you just shared? And there are a couple of comments. Dr. Beasley highlighted your statement around a career equals credentialing plus ongoing training. And we also love that $65,000 salary as a 23-year-old. That's definitely an incentive. So thank you so much for just sharing the opportunities for our youth. At this time, we'll hear from Dr. Kendrick Carroll. Thank you.
Hey, good morning, everyone. It is definitely a pleasure to be here. I am a native of Georgia from Macon and Warner Robins, so I have a direct tie back to everybody on the call and being back home. I am the president and CEO here at BSI. And what is BSI? Yes, business, staffing, and innovation, but the core of our organization is really built upon innovative technologies. And what does that consist of? When you think about blockchain, artificial intelligence, virtual reality, and for the students on the call here, they're probably getting excited when they hear about virtual reality, especially those that are playing Fortnite. So those are the different technologies that we build. And so the reason why we really wanted to connect with the students is we truly believe that the future of our students is not only just in the traditional trades, but also inside of software. And one of the gaps that we notice within the market is that a lot of corporations are looking to tap into students coming out of high school. We all understand from the industry, we know you don't have to go to college. We don't discourage it, but you do not have to go to college in order to write code or build software, right? If you want to be able to build a video game, it doesn't necessarily mean you have to get a computer science degree. We do encourage you to attend universities and go get your college and further education. But you can also come out of high school and come into those different careers. And that's the gap that BSI is really servicing. And within that, just kind of think about from a pay band. When you walk out of high school, we've seen students, and we are placing students and hiring students anywhere between $60,000 and $70,000. Just last year, we placed a student who actually broke the six-figure salary coming out of high school without any college education. The way we was able to do that is because we're able to show the true experience that a student has that been coding since they were in 12th grade. Coding in 12th grade and with the career placement program, when you're coding there, we know how to translate that experience into real world experience. Therefore, now you're coming out and you're walking into a career at 18 years old with actual 6 years of real experience that can actually be relatable to the market. And so that's what really how we got connected with Clayton County, as well as with the Never platform. Mary, I hope I'm not overstepping by chatting about this, and I know it's getting ready to come out with the virtual reality platform. And so the students, you'll get an opportunity to really start learning with the different technologies that you enjoy utilizing on your free time. Right now, we're bringing your classroom inside of virtual reality, and a lot of it is to help with the knowledge retention, but also it targets to your natural learning state, which is really gamification. So for us, we're really helping tie the gaps there between what you love to do and and what you're supposed to be learning in school, and bringing those together and know it's going to be of great value. And so the different opportunities that you all will have, and Mary have done a wonderful job of pioneering this effort and connecting us with you all. But starting this summer, some of you all will have the opportunity to come and actually build some video games, come and work on some of the virtual reality technologies, come and get inside some of the XR studios that's around. So BSI, we're here for the long run, and we're here to support. And if you all have any questions, comments, feel free to let us know, but we're here to support. So thank you all.
And thank you, Dr. Carroll. And of course, also put information in the chat box, but those scholars who are starting with $60,000 and $70,000, you better have a financial planner, because we want you to make wise decisions with your money. But also what you described, Dr. Carroll, is really what allowed us to reimagine learning while we were in the pandemic when students were home. So it was through the technology features, especially simulations, virtual reality, that gave our students a hands-on opportunity and still allowed them to have those socialization skills that are needed. And so I'm glad to hear that we are having that partnership continued, and even opportunities in the summer. So thank you so much. Okay, so it looks like Akiriana Reed has joined the panel. I think she was just muted earlier. So I want to circle back to her before we continue, just to see if she is available to share her experience. Akiriana, are you able to unmute and share? Okay, so she may be having technical difficulties. So we will progress with our Q&A, and we're going to kick it off now, starting with our superintendent, Dr. Beasley, who has been very instrumental with bringing college and career readiness insight and opportunities to our students early on. And so, Dr. Beasley, question for you. In addition to ensuring that our students have a quality academic program, could you just describe some of the ways that our school district is working to strengthen and expand our CTAE programming?
Well, thank you, Dr. Lee. And I'll start out by saying this event is one of them, of course, one of many events. And as you already shared, we started some time ago really expanding and strengthening our CTAE position. I think one of the most recent decisions is to hire Miss Mary Shepard, who is now leading as the director of our CTAE program, as she works with her team They are working collaboratively, creatively, innovatively to ensure that our students are informed and prepared. Clayton County continues to hire very talented individuals for our students. And you should know that we're also developing all of our Career Academy partnerships to include Atlanta Tech College. We have partnerships with the Clayton State University, of course, right here in Clayton County, and Atlanta Tech Technical, I've already mentioned them, and Atlanta Metro College as well. They have programs as well. Each year, our CTAED teachers are provided an opportunity to grow professionally via extensive professional development. As you heard Mr. Bradley say, you don't really have a career if you're not engaged in ongoing training, but they are getting training and coaching. Teachers are offered the opportunity to collaborate with each other during dedicated planning periods. They participate in professional learning communities, also referred to as PLCs, and teachers have externships as well. Our Clayton County Public Schools, we're committed to a culture of college and career readiness. Extensive resources, which include but are not limited to software, equipment, supplies, professional development, and coaching, have been extended to every school. And we have career pathways in every school. We expect in Clayton County that all of our students entering high school will complete at least one career pathway. That's why we're seeing such an increase in the number of students graduating from high school with some type of credential that I think just makes the post-secondary experience that more rewarding. The district provides a dollar-for-dollar match for the federal Carl Perkins allocation for a total of over $1 million. These district funds are used for content-specific professional development of teachers, state-of-the-art computers and software, as well as lab equipment and robots for our robotics programs. Our district is committed to expanding corporate and educational partnerships, and that's why many of these partners are here today. And I should say, this is not their first time with Clayton County. As I look at all of these partners, they participate on many of our advisories. They're engaged in our aeronautical programs. They're engaged in so many opportunities at the various high schools to engage our students, prepare our students for college and careers. So we'll continue to capitalize on our existing partnerships with the industry. And of course, we're going to continue to match. And I think the word is expand our opportunities for our students. And I challenge all of the partners to continue to do what you're doing, continue to partner with all of the various schools. There is a school or several schools in this district that have pathways that will prepare students for your areas. I encourage you to build a relationship with those schools, with those programs, and become, if you will, that next step from of our students who are graduating from these programs. We want to be the pipeline, if you will, that floods our Clayton County, our region, the state with young people that are prepared for these careers. So I hope that answers the question, but I think as a district, we are showing even today our commitment to ensuring that our students are prepared for college and careers.
Yes, thank you, Dr. Beasley. Thank you so much for sharing that. And I also like your comment in the chat box. I hope our students saw it. The early bird gets the worms. And so that's, again, why we're here today, to make sure that you know your wide and varied options and to be able to make informed decisions so that upon graduation, you're not lingering, trying to figure it out, that you can be very intentional and astute in your decision making. So again, thank you, Dr. Beasley. Well, Ms. Marilyn Walker, you heard Dr. Beasley consistently talk about partnerships. And so thank you again for being here, because you have been a value partner. So as the Workforce Development Coordinator for Georgia Power, which is a powerhouse for our economy, can you describe how your company is currently working with school districts across the state?
Yes, I certainly can. And thank you for allowing me to be a part of this event. This is amazing. I'm learning so much as I sit and listen to the previous speakers as well. We partner with our school systems in a myriad of ways. We have our employees who volunteer on a regular basis to work with the various school systems. We also have a dedicated team of educators that actually come out to give you those in-class field trips is what we were calling them. Now they're actually virtual, but that's a team of 20 people that actually deliver lessons from pre-K to 12th grade surrounding energy. They actually talk about the various careers because we want to start as soon as possible introducing these various careers to those students. So the earlier we can talk with them about the energy field, about the utility industry, the better. So we start at pre-K. I actually work on that workforce development side. So we kind of take that baton from that education team to start developing those young people, young men and women that are interested in some of those skilled labor roles that we have here at Georgia Power Company and that are available throughout the state with many of our utility companies. One of our primary areas where we have a bit of a gap is our line worker program. We are needing line workers in the state, not just for Georgia Power, but for other utility companies as well, because many of our line workers are currently through attrition or either leaving to go work with other companies because we train them well. They're leaving to go work with other companies or they're being promoted to other positions. Some of them are simply retiring because we have a bit of an aging workforce around those line workers as well. So we need to start building a sustainable pipeline of line workers, metering techs, network underground workers here at Georgia Power and for other utility companies throughout the state. So we work to inform our students, make them aware of these jobs. We also work with Youth Science, who actually kind of finds out the interest and the aptitude for these jobs. So they help us identify those students as well. Many of the things that we're doing, like I said, is to build that awareness, but we also want to start with some of our summer internships. We have summer internships that we offer to seniors, and primarily because we want them to move directly once they've gone through that summer internship, possibly move into a direct hire situation. So we do primarily work with seniors. Those summer internships, this year we'll have about 40 plus. Last year we didn't have as many because, as many of you know, we're dealing with the pandemic still. So we did not have as many interns last year as we would have liked. So we are making those offers not only to graduating seniors for 2021, but if you know of any seniors, male and female, that would have graduated last year, please have them apply for those summer internships that we're offering. And as I stated earlier, we're offering about 40 plus, and that starts that training process for them.
Thank you, Ms. Walker. And we want all 40, so we'll make sure our students are prepared. But could you just very briefly describe the work of a line worker, since you mentioned that's a gap, and we want to make sure our students know what that field is, that profession?
Yeah, our line workers are considered essential workers. And the reason why, without our line workers, we don't have power. We're not able to be here with you today, even if we don't have our line workers, if that power is not on and working properly. Much of their work centers around restoring, building, installing those necessary equipment, like those transformers, making sure those poles are up, making sure the lines are up, making sure our substations are working properly, and we're able to distribute that power to your homes, to your commercial businesses, to those industrial businesses. Without our line workers, we can't serve them. So those are our essential workers in essence. So students that are interested in those jobs, it is labor intense because it does require a lot of strength, a lot of ability to actually do this job. You're often digging holes to install those poles. You're often climbing poles, so you can't be afraid of heights to install those lines. We're actually digging trenches in some cases where underground service is necessary. We also have teams that actually work underground. So if you're in a large metropolitan city like Atlanta, you could be possibly walking over some of those workers that are working underground in about a 6x6 space in some cases, to make sure you have that service for those larger cities like Atlanta or Savannah or some of those larger areas. So the line workers, network underground workers that we have are essential to our business and to
Thank you.
Georgia.
Thank you, Ms. Walker, for expanding upon that. Thank you so much. So now I want to go to Dr. Hazel Mays, Associate Professor here with the field of education, and Atlanta Metropolitan State College that Dr. Beasley alluded to earlier is already a value partner with Clayton County, and you're instrumental in helping us grow our own in terms of educators. So could you just speak to us briefly about the opportunities and the initiatives that your college has with Clayton County Public Schools, and what level of preparation do students need to have in order to enroll in your program initiatives? Dr. Mays.
Absolutely. Thank you so much for this opportunity. We definitely appreciate the partnership. I just want to say that Atlanta Metropolitan has two initiatives with Clayton County Schools that I would like to highlight. One of the reasons why we established partnerships with K-12 schools like Clayton is regarding the data, regarding the need for more teachers here in the state. The DOE of Georgia lists education services as one of the top 5 occupations that have the most job openings annually. And some of those teaching positions would include elementary, middle, and also paraprofessionals, as well as teaching assistants. And so we're just trying to do our part to contribute to the training of that workforce. The first initiative that I want to bring about information about is the CTAED pathway, in particular, the Teaching as Professions pathway at Clayton County Schools. Students in the district at certain high schools that complete this pathway upon their admission to Atlanta Metropolitan State College, they will receive credit for one education course, which will give them advanced standing toward their associate's degree as an education major. The second initiative that we have is that we have an agreement for field experience. And so our education majors have the opportunity to go in and actually take part in some excellent experiences, a full range of them associated with the role of a teacher. We also have, as students continue their education toward their bachelor's, we have several partnerships with 4-year institutions. For example, we have Kennesaw State and Clayton State for the bachelor's degree, of course, with certification. And our latest partnership that we have established or are establishing at this time is with UGA, the University of Georgia, for the field of special education with certification, which is a critical need for the state as well. All in support of Clayton County School students who are seeking to make an impact on their county as well as their state.
Yes, Dr. Mays, thank you for sharing that. And students, there's a comment in the chat box. Be sure you're reading the comments. And Dr. Mays mentioned that education is a top 5, and it is a high demand profession and a rewarding profession. And I have to say myself, great benefits, great salary if you stay within your means, and just a rewarding profession. And you saw with the pandemic, we were able to adapt to either face-to-face or virtual environment. And so if you're interested in really making a positive impact in the lives of others, then definitely consider the field of education. And I'm putting a link in the chat box that shows you other top careers. It's called the Hot Career List. Okay, so at this time, and thank you again, Dr. Mays, I'm going to transition to Mr. Zach Fields and Mr. Eddie Barnett. So Zach Fields is the Vice President of the K-12 Pipeline with CEFCA, the Construction Education Foundation of Georgia, and Mr. Eddie Barnett is a board member for this organization. So Mr. Fields and Mr. Barnett, what types of initiatives does CEFCA currently have that connect employers to educational systems like Clayton County Public Schools? So speak to those initiatives.
Sure. Well, thank you so much, Dr. Lee, and everyone involved in this great opportunity for students. We really exist to bridge that gap between education and industry. And we do so in many different ways that support the people, certainly the administration on this call that exists to support students and students directly. And so whether you're someone fighting for students every day as part of your job, or whether you are a student, we've got a team behind you ready to help connect to that next step. CEFCA works with, we work with school systems across the state. We work with teachers, we work with school counselors, we work with school administrators and work-based learning coordinators to, one, help students understand what options there are out there. We have many industry partners, pretty much the entire construction sector, Southern Company, Georgia Power, Mechanical Contractors Association with Mr. Bradley, Mr. Barnett here as well, who's been very influential in our industry. So we're here to help connect the next steps. We assist and support programs, construction programs, drafting programs, welding programs in schools. You two, Clayton County is really fortunate to have two programs offered in that space at Lovejoy High School, led by Mr. Cummings, and at Jonesboro High School as well, led by Mr. Ross as well. So we can help there, but we can really help connect anyone to a next step for a student that is wondering what is out there. Can I get some more information? Can I learn about these jobs? We have a whole team dedicated to making that happen for a student and helping to answer those questions. And I'll put something in the chat here that's the next step for students. And I'll kick it over to Mr. Barnett now because he's familiar with our work as well and very active.
Thank you.
All right. And Zach is being modest. That term K-12 pipeline was the first time I'd heard it from Zach, and I'm proud to serve on the board of CEFCA. K-12, I'm actually on Zach's committee, and it's because of Zach that I think we are having a real impact on the communities. I met a gentleman yesterday because of Zach. His name is Johnny Pearson. He's been teaching probably for the last 30 years. He's currently with the Fulton County Schools, and he's a College and Career Academy technical instructor for construction. I'll briefly tell you a little about this gentleman. He's a Tuskegee grad. Really impressed with what he was doing with the kids. I mean, quite simply, he had models where they were building a house. He went from a house to building a community. Just the idea that he's tying in architecture, he's looking at urban planning, he's opening their eyes to a lot of things. It's hands-on. So they actually constructed a very strong she shed. I was quite impressed with that the ladies built. But that's just a small example of how Zach is reaching all the way down to middle schoolers. I know we don't have time to see what Zach's accomplished, but to see photos of kids running tape. I own an interior drywall company, and part of that is a project we have right now, which is with Microsoft, and that's with Microsoft and with Merrick and Leapley in the lead. But we are taking apprenticeships from all the way down to straight out of high school to coming out of technical school. So we are a collaboration. I think that at this point in Atlanta's history, every sector is really running on all 8 cylinders. I think the most important thing is we really have to tap into our resources. I'd love to see a spotlight on a guy like like Mr. Johnny Pearson. What is his past? Where did he come from? Because he is giving of himself in every way. One other tie, of course, we have multiple ways we're tied together, but I work with the Atlanta Electrical Contractors Association with a group that I'm also a training director, and that's the National Association of Minority Contracts. So NAMAC reaches out to young folks, gets them into the electrical apprenticeship program. And to Ms. Walker's, these are interior and outside plants. So electrical, either low voltage, or the electricians that deal with a lot of the plants. So there are other ties. And then I will also, tie in. One of the things I think that we have to remember is a lot of our former programs had been defunded. There are times where in our past, it was more important to push our children towards a college education. I have been guilty of that myself, and I've had to walk that back. It is very important that we recognize the efforts of the STEM schools, how they tie into MEP, the work that schools like Georgia Tech, Kennesaw, a lot of them give a lot of our young people a way into the program. But one of the best things I've ever seen is the Career Expo that SEFCA puts on. That gives young folks a real opportunity to compete, to work hand in hand in the industry, and to be supported. So hopefully this is a quick snapshot of how we all work together in a strong collaborative effort.
Thank you, Mr. Barnett and Mr. Fields. And I know that we didn't get a chance to touch on how sometimes the perception of this is a male's profession needs to be dispelled, because we know that there are several opportunities for males and females in the SEFCA world.
Right. Dr. Lee, there's a video I posted in the chat that's got one of our leading females in the industry. And to be honest with you, this industry is a very welcoming place for females. We have associations of female professionals, and just nothing personal on the fellas here, but the females in our industry get things done, and we love having them. So this is a great place for all. We just care about whether somebody can do the job or not, and we're ready to support them in their growth to do that.
Thank you. Thank you for emphasizing that. Okay, so as a reminder, if you're watching audience via YouTube, hit that like button so that we know that you're taking part in this wonderful discussion. So Dr. Beasley, back to you. What is Clayton County doing to really address the STEM innovation? We heard Dr. Carroll speak to the importance of students engaging in this level of preparation earlier. So could you just describe Clayton County's effort in that space?
Thank you, Dr. Lee. I've tried to share a few things in the chat box, but one thing I want everyone to know is here in Clayton County, we are stimulating, STEMulating our culture to be one of high performance. We have STEM activities expected across the board in all content areas occurring at all of our schools. Basically, we're working on criticality. We expect our students to think creatively. We expect them to be innovative. We expect them to think critically. We want our students to think in ways that employers appreciate. And we want it to be a normal thing, an everyday occurrence in our schools, in their lives, when they're at home, etc. So you'll see, just to name a few, you'll see a Tinker Pilot K-12 computer science curriculum program at select schools. You'll see Project Lead the Way, Lockheed Martin computer science grant for cyber security course curriculum at Lovejoy High School. You'll see a BSI. You heard from one of the BSI today. BSI Solutions in conjunction with Never Platform Virtual Reality, Lovejoy Middle School, Forest Park High School. You hear of computational thinking in mathematics. Forest Park Middle School, selected school for a grant from Kennesaw State University. You should hear of STEAM trucks. 4 of our middle schools, Bav, MD Roberts, North Clayton Middle School, Mundy's Mill Middle School, Gates Grand Challenge Algebra Grant, all middle schools, STEM camps, June of 2021. And let's be reminded, in case you don't know, everyone, Clayton County is leading in the metro area in summer STEM camps. Let me say that again, leading. We're not following, we're leading in the area. Everyone talks about Clayton County and our STEM camps. Of course, we have our STEM-based magnet programs, Lovejoy High School, computer science, Morrow High School, engineering, West Clayton Elementary School, it's a STEAM school. And listen to these innovative initiatives. Drone program, the only middle school drone program in the state, at least at the time, at North Clayton Middle School. Kudos to North Clayton Middle School. Aviation programs at North Clayton Middle School, North Clayton High School. Media arts programs at Mundy's Mill Middle School, Mundy's Mill High School. Computer science, I mentioned, Lovejoy High School, Mundy's Mill Middle School, Morrow High School, aeronautical, engineering, pharmacy magnet. Forest Park High School, agriculture, Drew High School, medical sciences, just to name a few. So, but I want to make sure that everyone is clear. I don't want anyone on this panel or listening to this, participating in this event to leave here ever thinking once again or sharing that we're not preparing our students for college and careers in Clayton County Public Schools. We are doing it. People who are saying that we're not, they're not informed. We are doing it, and our students, again, are expected to participate in at least one career pathway. They can do as many as their time and schedules allow, but at least one career pathway in their high school career here in Clayton County Public Schools. That's our expectation, and that's why we're doing these events. So I hope, Dr. Lee, that gives everyone a sense of what we're doing across the board. And Dr. Lee, you probably should answer the question, what are we doing to develop criticality in our students? And as you well know, in order to think STEM, and you think STEM in all content areas, regardless of the field. In order to think STEM, you have to be a very strong in your critical thinking skills. So I'm going to pitch it back to you now, Dr. Lee, and please share specifically what we're doing to develop criticality in our students from pre-K to 12th grade.
Well, and thank you, Dr. Beasley, for just describing so well our robust STEM efforts. But as Dr. Beasley stated, it really starts early on, and Mr. Bradley alluded to this. So early on, we are embedding those pressing issues and real-world challenges for our students to tackle those. We call it problem-based learning or project-based learning. And so we really need our partners to continue to help us enhance so our students have an authentic audience to present their findings and their solutions. We particularly call on the 17 United Nations Sustainable Goals, where we've embedded those into our curriculum. We even have one of our middle schools as a part of International Baccalaureate Candidacy that's doing a global exchange with France, Toulouse, France, where they're going to be discussing how each area handled COVID-19 and how to prevent pandemics of that magnitude in the future. And so we're trying to move away from, we have moved away from skill and drill to making sure that our students have viable, real-world, rigorous learning experiences each and every day. So thank you, Dr. Beasley, and that's just a touch on what we're doing to stimulate learning across the board. So at this time, we're going to transition to film industry. And if you all hear, that's my clock in the background. I love the chimes. But Mr. Josh Lee, you're the Director of Strategy and Operations for the Georgia Film Academy of the University System of Georgia. And sometimes when we think of film, we only think of the actors and actresses, but we know there's so much that's available for our students. And Georgia is a booming film industry. So if you would, Mr. Lee, could you just share some opportunities that are available for students in the film industry that are not commonly known?
Absolutely. Yeah. Thank you, Dr. Lee, and fantastic last name. And very much impressed with this event that you've put on. Dr. Beasley, well said, great words. But so as you just alluded to, Dr. Lee, lots of jobs in the film and television industry, a lot that students don't think of. Students think of the cameraman, of the actor, of the director, but there are actually hundreds of jobs on each production that comes here to Georgia. And as you may know, Georgia is booming in this industry. We're #1 in the world for feature films because of all the big Marvel movies, all the big productions that are here. #3 in the world, or actually #3 in the US for just sheer number of productions. So lots of activity here. The IATSE is saying they can't even find a broom closet to film in these days because of how much content creation is going on here in Georgia. So we at the GFA were created for this exact purpose, which is putting workforce, putting students, putting learners to work onto film sets and training for those hundreds of jobs that exist. So we're housed under the University System of Georgia, which means that institutions across the state can offer our programming that, again, is an affordable, accessible, direct to work pipeline. 18 credit hour certification program that we offer. Students take an introduction course, they then take a specialty course, and then they can qualify for our internship program. And we have a unique in the nation contract with the local labor union that allows us to place students on essentially anything that's filming here in Georgia that's a union show. So you name it, Stranger Things, Walking Dead, the 8 gazillion Marvel movies, Tyler Perry, Ozark, etc. We've had students on those film sets. And it's more complex and robust than that, but I know I have a limited amount of time, so I'll keep it short, and I'll allow you guys to contact me afterwards for questions. But the way it works is students, learners, professionals come together at our industry hubs, such as Pinewood or now Trilith Studios, formerly Pinewood Atlanta Studios. They receive training from industry experts. They actually work with industry equipment on sound stages, And then finally, following that completion of the training, again, they get to be placed in these internships on productions. We do have training at high school. We have worked with 450 high school teachers across the state, a bunch from Clayton County schools. We've certified them in post-production. We have the new course, dramatic writing. We do production training, and I know several Clayton County schools have partnered with that program. We also have dual enrollment opportunities, where I also know Clayton County Schools has taken advantage of that. And then we're actually going to be launching our first high school summer camp this summer for high school students to be able to work on a soundstage with tangible equipment to really learn those jobs, those crafts, into a job industry that average starting salary, according to the Department of Economic Development, is $84,000 a year. So these students don't necessarily have to attend college. They can go straight through this certification program to enter the workforce, making a good salary and hypothetically getting a job that they love and they can stick with for the rest of their lives. So clearly, I'm very passionate about it. I'll put my email address in the chat. I'll also put our website, and happy to answer any questions following this.
Thank you, Mr. Lee. And what is the age range for or requirement for the internship that you spoke of earlier with the local
question? Yeah, unions require that the student be 18 years old to enter an internship in the IATSE.
Okay. Thank you. And also thank you for the support with the dramatic writing course. So while we have all the professions here, we were told that Georgia is not producing the writers for film. So thank you again for your support in that area.
And we're starting MFA programs. So we just launched our first new MFA program with University of Georgia, MFA in screen and television writing, for that exact purpose. So when you talk about pipeline and pathway, we see it from 8th grade to MFA. We have this curriculum, training, and resources and placements for students.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
Absolutely.
Okay. So Ms. Nicole Horn, the Youth Service Administrator for the Clayton County Board of Commissioners, thank you for being here. You're also a value partner, and you do so much with our youth already, with building their leadership skills, their civic engagement skills, and all types of awareness. So I want you to expand on something that Dr. Beasley mentioned earlier about the importance of the business industry partnering with the school. And sometimes we've been told that the entry point is not known. So businesses don't know how to connect, and schools have challenges gathering the partnerships. So if you would just really expound upon what do you think should be done on the school side and on the business side to get more work-based learning opportunities for our students.
Okay, so good morning, everyone. Again, I'm Nicole Horn. I'm the administrator for Clayton County Board of Commissioners Office of Youth Services. And before I get into that, I just want to say that I love the direction that Clayton County Public Schools is going in. Whenever someone talks about Clayton County Public Schools, I have nothing but great things to say. You all are doing a great job, and we enjoy partnering with you. I guess something that we could do, when I first started in Clayton County about 14 years ago, I worked with the CTAED program when I was in Parks and Recreation, and we had monthly meetings with different CTAED instructors. I also sat on the board at Mondays Mill High School for quite a while. And during that time, it was probably about 10 or 11 different businesses that were represented. And we had an opportunity at least once a quarter to meet with the students, have conversations with the students, and talk about things that they were interested in and how our businesses can help. That was a really good opportunity for me to be able to interface with teachers, counselors, and also students at the same time to talk about the things that we do in the county, figure out what the students were interested in, and also be able to meet with other professionals that offered services or jobs for students. So I think that that was a very good opportunity, and something that if we're not doing it now, that's something that we can look back into doing again for the students, because it just gave us that personal time to interface with each other. Also, just to give a plug, CTAE has been very instrumental with us. Currently, we have hired 19 CTA students to work with our Smart Pedestrian Pathways grant. They are currently working in our IT department, assessing our sidewalks in Clayton County to make sure that we can become a walkable county in the future, so that people can access work, you can access school, and that you can also access play. Those students have had an opportunity to interface with Georgia Tech researchers and our GIS teams as well. And they are being paid $10.18 an hour. We've also provided the opportunity to shift the paradigm where we have some students that are able to work at home. So being able to provide that opportunity for students is one of our prideful moments that we're going through right now in Clayton County. And I just also wanted to add too, that we do have a civic engagement program for any students that are interested in government. It's the Clayton County Youth Commission, where we will walk you through how your government works, different jobs and opportunities that are available in the government. I know a lot of people think that the government just sets rules and laws and tells you what to do. But again, we have information technology here. We have transportation and development here. We have a finance department, fire and police. And we really want the students to understand what it takes for their government to run and the jobs and opportunities that are involved in those as well. And then I guess, let's see. Lastly, just to give a shameless plug for the Office of Youth Services, we will be doing a job fair with Goodwill on April 29th from 10 to 1. It will be completely virtual. So if you follow us on our Instagram page at Clayton County Youth Services, Facebook, Clayton County Office of Youth Services, Twitter, at Youth Services 17, and Snapchat, we have CC Youth Services. That information will be provided to you. Quality of life is really big for us. We're interested in making sure that the students have a school, work, and recreation, if you will, life balance. So if you're interested in any fun activities, my office does that as well. Please follow us on those pages and we will get that information to you. And then I just also wanted to add, as a mom, a couple of the gentlemen mentioned having to walk back the importance of a 4-year degree. Being involved with CTAED over the past years, my son just graduated from high school in 2020. And I was one of those parents as well that felt like, oh, you have to get a 4-year degree. You have to get a 4-year degree. Well, for Gabriel, he was a little different. So I had to kind of walk that back too and understand that, 4-year wasn't good for Gabriel, but he's very interested in game development and technology. So he attends Gwinnett Technical College, and then he's working in the information technology field part-time. So I just wanted to add that CTAE actually being involved with you all gave me an insight as a parent to understand that, 4-year college is good for my daughter, but it's not good for my son. So what are other options that are good for Gabriel? So I wanted to add that as well.
And thank you so much, Nicole, for adding that, because I know we have parents listening, and sometimes we have our traditional mindset around what our children need to do. But as we can hear, that there are viable, highly viable options beyond going for 4 years and possibly getting into debt. And so our students can have a head start and do something very productive with their lives. So again, thank you for sharing that. And also thank you for all the work that you're doing and the Smart Pedestrians effort. That's phenomenal. It's another one of the ways we engage our students in real life experiences. So now we're going to transition to healthcare science. And while it has always been a high demand and high need area, we saw it take front and center stage during the pandemic, where we had to have an abundant supply of healthcare professionals who are skilled and passionate at what they do. And so Dr. Eichelberger, who works with Clayton State University, also a valuable partner already, could you just speak to what do the next 10 years look like in healthcare? And again, thank you for being here to be a part of this panel discussion.
Well, Dr. Lee, it's my pleasure to be with you this morning. And hello to everybody. I'm delighted to be with you. To predict the next 10 years, I can definitely say one thing. It's going to look very different than it does right now. Who among us could have said that a year and a half ago, we would be dealing with a global pandemic? I have to tell you, every time I say those words, it's still surreal for me. Even though I had taught about the global pandemic that we had back in 1918, none of us could have foreseen what we would be facing right now. Certainly in January, and certainly back in 2019, we would have never predicted that our lives would have radically changed so much. But over the next 10 years, health care is going to look very different than it does right now. And the top 3 things in my time limited amount. I think that the top 3 things that are going to radically change how healthcare is delivered is going to be telehealth. And it got a big push from COVID-19, because probably everybody on this call, all 215 of us, may have already interacted with a healthcare provider through telehealth. And so reluctantly, albeit, we have made a quantum leap in telehealth. Some of it not so good, but the technology is rapidly changing to get us, the healthcare providers providing it, and the consumers to accept telehealth. So telemedicine, along coupled with the revolution that's going on with 5G, is going to make providing access to healthcare very, very different over the next 10 years, to the point that we will be doing remote surgeries even. And so providing access to particularly rural, not just rural Georgia, but in rural parts of Africa and other places as well. So that's going to radically change how we do it. And certainly we've seen direct consumer genetic testing. You know, I think maybe many of us on this call have done Ancestry.com or 23andMe, and we've seen expansion with the Affordable Care Act of insurance coverage for certain conditions to get genetic testing done. But we've only scratched the surface in what we can do in trying to use that information to modify the ways that we live our lives to prevent disease. And so we know now if you have a genetic predisposition for diabetes, you can alter your lifestyle to prevent disease, to prevent you from ever getting diabetes now. And we're just now beginning to understand how we work with patients to prevent diseases. And so that will greatly expand. And then artificial intelligence. And one of the earlier panelists talked about gaming and how we use machine learning. That really will unlock the answers to many of our biggest questions in medicine, is how we use that. It's not going to take the place of physicians and advanced practice nurses and PAs in how they treat patients, but that really holds great promise for solving how we take care of patients. So that's going to greatly expand. And all of that, you know, you think, okay, wow, if I'm interested in IT and technology, there's great. Health informatics is a booming part of healthcare. And so if you're interested in that, certainly there's great careers for you, high paying careers in health. So I would certainly encourage that. But that's not going to take the place. It will never take the place of caring and that bedside and that touch. And that has come front and center, as we have seen in COVID. And that brings me to the last thing I want to say is the impact of COVID. It has devastated, our communities, and the impact of COVID, both financially on our agencies. It's estimated $50 billion a month has been the impact, and that's just an estimate on our on our hospitals. And that's every month. And so we have yet to see what it's going to do to our hospitals in particular, and the educational institutions as well, because we've seen a decline in enrollment, and we're seeing we haven't seen yet the exodus in terms of people, particularly nurses, the stress, burnout, because they're the ones that have been at the bedside 24/7. You know, the physicians come in and out, the respiratory therapists come in and out, everybody else comes in and out, but it's been those nurses at the bedside. So the stress and fatigue, they've hung in there, but we don't know what's going to happen in terms of exodus from. We are seeing an increase in enrollments in medical schools and nursing schools, but we don't know what's going to happen to the bulk of the 4 million nurses, and how many of them will exodus the profession as a result of the tremendous toll that it's taking on the people that have been on the front lines in particular, and the variants of the virus itself. So there's a lot to be seen. It's going to be with us for a good bit longer, particularly with the mutations that we're seeing. So there's a lot, but there's a lot of hope there too. Science has just been remarkable. The microbiologists, the scientists that have brought us the vaccine, that's just been remarkable. So those of you interested in science, and as Ms. Williamson from the Chamber said, the U.S. News and World Report, top 10 best careers, 8 of them are in science and in high demand careers, and they will continue. And high paying from Clayton State University, the most well-paying careers of all of our graduates are the ones from the College of Health. So, and that has been and will remain. So they're excellent careers, and I'll be glad to talk to you at any time about them as Dean of the College of Health. So thank you. I hope I've given you something to think about.
You have it. It sounds like you've
crystal ball here.
Yes, I was going to say it's a very clear crystal ball. But thank you for sharing, Dr. Eichelberger. And we continue to have those nurses and individuals on the front line in our prayers, because they have done an amazing job, just an amazing. So thank you again for sharing. So at this time, we're going to transition to Miss Tracy Gilbert. She's the Community Affairs Manager at the Hartsfield-Jackson Atlanta International Airport. And I saw you earlier, Miss Gilbert, giving your high five to Dr. Beasley, describing our aviation programs. But thank you for, again, being a wonderful partner. And could you just speak to some of the work you're doing with local school districts, and then possibly what have been some of the challenges and how are you overcoming those challenges to help school systems with workforce development? So welcome, Ms. Gilbert. You're muted.
Am I good now?
Yes.
Well, good morning, everyone. I bring you greetings on behalf of the Department of Aviation at Hartsfield-Jackson, the world's busiest airport. We do so many amazing things through our aviation education program. I've had the opportunity to manage that program for the past 16 years. And what we do is we give our time, we give our talent, we give our expertise by partnering with local schools. We've taken a very comprehensive look at schools that border the airport's footprint, and those schools that lie in Clayton, Atlanta Public School District, and Fulton County. We reach out and we partner with them on a 2-year basis, and we give them insight and exposure to all things aviation. Oftentimes when we go into schools, we hear students say things like, well, I want to become a lawyer or a doctor. I can't do that in aviation. Well, hear this, whatever you can do in any field, you can do it in an airport. We have our own healthcare professionals. We have air marshals. We have not only flight attendants and pilots, but there's a business side to what we do. And we need those accountants with those strong math backgrounds. And we need those engineers and groups of that level. But through our aviation education program, we're empowering our future and creating a pipeline for the world's busiest airport. What does this look like as far as workforce development? Now, of course, we know that Hartsfield-Jackson is the world's busiest airport with 63,000 employees. But with the small group that manages the airport, which is the Department of Aviation, we're all City of Atlanta employees. And so our jobs and careers basically look for those college-bound students. However, there is a plethora of retail stores and restaurants and contractors that source jobs through our airport that are in dire need. As a matter of fact, Mr. Gold and I worked a week ago on our very first virtual career fair, where we had 2,500 job seekers to register for our virtual career fair. And we had roughly about 1,383 to actual show and register. So essentially, we have a plethora of opportunities for those that are along the more techno-vocational side. I think it was Mr. Bradley that talked about the need for electricians and mechanics and welders. Well, we have a huge facility. It's 4,700 square foot of space that we have to manage. And so with that, we want to be sure that we have the right group of individuals in the space to help keep our facilities up and running, to help keep our vehicles in place, to help keep our aircraft running seamlessly. And so those individuals that have the vocational skills and certifications that come right out of high school, just with a little bit of additional training, can go right into very handsome salaries in the field of aviation. I know there was a question that someone posed about international opportunities. Well, there's a company, if you ever think about air cargo and freight, you know, everything now with the pandemic, everybody's on Instacart and Amazon, you know, a lot of people are getting things delivered. Well, Swissport Air Cargo reached out to me the other week, and of course they participated in our career fair, and they said, Ms. Gilbert, we're finding a very difficult time filling the positions. You know, we're contractors with Amazon and we just don't have the manpower. We're having to turn away business because we don't have enough warehousemen and freight forwarders. So I mentioned to Mr. Copening, I said, Mr. Copening, well, are you reaching out to our local school districts and speaking to the needs of supply chain and air cargo needs and those things? Because those young people with maybe 8 to 12 weeks of training in forklifting and warehousemen can go from, you know, sitting in their classrooms to $15 an hour and onto an international career with Emirates Air and traveling internationally to Heathrow and Dubai and some other international destinations. So I want you to know that the opportunities are not here locally. They're global when you talk about aviation. And we want all the students on the call today to get aviation in your blood. We want you to think about, you can start here and travel anywhere. I'll end with this story. There was a young man named Yannick, which I thought was a very cool name. And every time I would go over to North Clayton and speak, he would say, Ms. Gilbert, I want to be like you. I want to be like you. I want to take your job one day. And Yannick started out as a cashier at Popeyes on Concourse B. I'll have you to know that I kept in contact with Yannick. And about 6 months ago, Yannick called me and he said, Tracy, I want you to know that I just enrolled in Embry-Riddle to become a pilot. 1 foot inside the door is now taking him around the world. The opportunities are there. Through our aviation education program, we have been partnering with schools for the past 16 years. Our 2 current schools we're partnered with is GP Babb Middle School and Martha Ellen Stilwell School of the Performing Arts. Yesterday, during our Black History Month program, we had Miss Emanuela Ema bring a special rendition of the song Harriet. And students from GP Babb had an opportunity to learn about gaming and flying drones and things of that nature for some of the pilots who participated from the Organization of Black Aerospace Professionals. So we do our due diligence to empower the future, one school at a time, one student at a time. And our leaders are laser focused on creating a pipeline of future airport leaders. Thank you so much for having us today.
Thank you, Ms. Gilbert, for sharing. And students, I hope you're hearing that there's a wealth of opportunities that are available in our backyard at the Atlanta International Airport, and you can't fly into it without touching Clayton County. And also, Ms. Gilbert, thank you for just expanding our students' minds about international careers, and especially as we're in a virtual space where we're using technology more, our students need to think sometimes beyond the local, to that they can work anywhere and really not have to leave their home to do it as well. So thank you. And I can't wait to get back to flying with Delta. So now we're going to hear from Lieutenant Colonel Rodney Pitts, our retiree in the military. And thank you for your service. And there's another avenue for our students post-graduation. So Lieutenant Colonel, what are the benefits of going into the military after high school? And who should students talk to when they are wanting to make a decision about going into the military?
Well, good morning. And thank you very much, Dr. Lee, for giving me the opportunity to speak to our most precious resource. And that are our students that are preparing to make a decision, probably one of the most important decisions of their lives as to what they're going to do next after they finish high school. And what I want to start off with, I want to give 3 specific points that I think are very important. And you just hit on 2 of them. I'm going to start with what are the benefits, because they'll just get right down to it. What am I going to get out of joining the military? Let me just tell you this, not all of us are going to be fortunate enough to go right out of high school to college. They're just not in the cards for all of us. And some of us just need a little bit more time to figure out what it is we want to do. And one of those places you can do that is by making a decision to go into the military. Okay, in making that decision to go into the military, I mean, just serving your first obligation, you don't have to do 20 years or 10 years. We're talking 2 to 3 years. After 2 to 3 years, you will be eligible for the GI Bill and the tuition assistance program that is available through the military. And if you get out and decide to go to college, guess what? They will pay for your college for free. That is one opportunity and one benefit. But let me just tell you this, there are many, many other benefits. One of the most important is that when you make a decision to go into the military, after you take the ASVAB test in high school, and that ASVAB test basically tells you, what your interests are and what best you can do in the military. It will show you based on your test scores, what area you would like to go into. But once you get into that area and you choose that military occupational specialty, what they call an MOS, guess what the military are going to do? They're going to train you. And as being the oldest organization in the United States of America, I can tell you that the military is very equipped with training and developing you for that skill set that you will be able to serve your country. And more importantly, if you decide to get out of the military, you will be able to take that skill set further on to you into whatever other field you would like to carry on in your life. But what's most important about that, getting out of the military, is that you're going to become something that people don't talk about much, and that is called a veteran. So here you are about 21, 22 years old, you're a veteran. You know what you are when you become a veteran? When it comes to both state and federal government service job, you're at the front of the list. And most people understand exactly what I mean by that. You're going to get all types of opportunity to be able to find work, find job opportunities. And what's up, and here's the kicker right here. You got your good job, everything's fine, you decide to have a family. Guess what? We got this thing called the VI home loan that you will get, where we will be available to you up to $450,000 for you to get your home. And that is just a beginning of something that just before you even hit 30 years old. But just say that you decide to stay in the military. You can stay in for 20 years, and at 37, guess what? You're going to get a check for the rest of your life. I mean, I cannot fathom that I had made a decision at 18 years old to do something like going to the military, and here I am. I don't care what I do. There's many things I can do, but I still get a check for the rest of my life. So let's get back to that other part. Okay, here I am. Those are the benefits. I understand the benefits. But see, there are some things that you got to do right now. And that is, who should I be talking to about making that decision to go into the military? In many cases, we talk about our families. We talk to our teachers, to our mentors. But I'm going to tell you this. The most important person that you need to talk to about joining the military is yourself. Because the first thing you got to do is determine if you're going to make that commitment to join the military. Then determine what interests you're going to have. Because whatever that profession that you're going to do, you want to do it the best way you can. Okay. And then you want to find out as much information as you can about that particular area. And that goes to my third point. When should I start doing this conversation? When should I start looking into these things? See, in many cases, people want to wait until the last week or the last month of their senior year in high school after things have transpired. They want to say, well, you know what? Let me try the military. I'm asking you as young students right now, if you're in the 11th grade and you just, started, started thinking about what you want to do next, I would say this. Not only once you have made that commitment and you have thought about it and you're trying to figure out what you're going to do next, now go to a recruiter office. 11th grade, you don't have to sign anything. You go to a recruiter office, and no, by the way, I know many of you go through the plaza and you see the little signs say U.S. Army recruiter, U.S. Navy recruiter, U.S. Air Force recruiter. You can go through all of them. Take your time. Let them give you all the information you need. If you go in there and say you're in the 11th grade, they're going to oh, great. They're going to take their time with you. They're going to give you all the information. Matter of fact, they're going to probably become your best friend.
30 seconds.
They're going to have you to go on different types of programs. So now you are basically just slowly, gradually making a decision of maybe going into the, you still haven't made that decision, but now you have all the information. So when you make that decision, it can be the right decision for you. And then you can carry on for whatever you want to do in your life. But more importantly, being a veteran is the best thing in the world. Serving a cause greater than yourself. Thank you so much for giving me the opportunity, and Godspeed to all of our future students and future leaders of America.
Thank you, Lieutenant Colonel. And I think you've sold all of them. So very great incentives. Thank you so much. Okay, so we're closing out. We have 2 final questions, and then we want to hear from our students before we close. But we're going to turn our attention to Captain Jody Weller with the Clayton County Fire Department to really describe that model academy pipeline that he established with our school district. And so if you would, Jody Weller, just really share with us, how has the Firefighter Apprenticeship Academy helped in developing your workforce pipeline?
Good morning. I got a lot to live up to, all these folks that have already had fantastic presentations. First, let me say that I'm very pleased to be here on behalf of Chief Landry Murkison. He sends his apologies that he wasn't able to be here today. We are actually accepting an award from the Ronnie Thames Foundation for our Pathway program, literally as we speak. So his apologies for not being able to be here, but he is asked very humbly, and I'm sitting here to give a presentation on the Pathway program, which holds a very dear place in my heart. When I was moved into the training academy, one of the things that Chief Murkison asked for me to do was to spearhead the Fire Pathway program. This Fire Pathway program is allowing us to mentor those students and try and keep them from making mistakes that might preclude them from being able to enter the workforce in any field. There are a lot of things that are expected of them in the Fire Pathway program that, quite frankly, it is a paramilitary organization, and we do require a certain level of discipline, and we do require a certain level of participation and performance. We expect the same out of our Pathway students that we expect out of our fire recruits that we are hiring, because in the end, the investment with these students is to bring them here as our employees. That being said, it shows that our department, as well as those that we hire, are vested in our community. We're very fortunate to say that we have several alumni of the Pathway program that were hired after they graduated last May, and they are in our system. They are actively working on our fire trucks, responding to calls. And Dr. Eichelberger, you mentioned the pandemic and how destructive it could potentially be on our medical force. And these students are there, and they are seeing what's happening on a daily basis from a first responder perspective. It also allows us to get them into the workforce at an entry rate that is typically higher than other students that might be their same age that decide that they want to enter the workforce rather than going to college. That being said, these students are coming in and they're coming to work for the fire department, and they are in excess of $42,000 a year straight out of high school. Of course, we have a very stringent training program for them. They're achieving certifications, and for those that follow the path appropriately, they are entering the workforce as certified firefighters, hazardous materials operations certifications, as well as emergency medical technicians. So a couple of them right now are sitting at 19 years old. They have this fire and EMT certification and could potentially be paramedics within the next 18 months to 2 years, and not even being 21 years old yet. So with those additional certifications comes additional pay raises and things of that nature. And we've heard a lot of figures thrown out today, and a lot of things that are out there for us all to pay attention to. And for these students, they could potentially at 22, 23 years old be around that $60,000 a year mark, and also taking in positions of leadership and positions of responsibility. After 3 years, they're eligible for the rank of sergeant, which means they're responsible for a certain number of personnel that are assigned within our organization to them. And additionally, it gives them these levels of responsibility that they might not have otherwise been exposed to. So the investment that we have with them while they're in high school really gives us an opportunity to see them for 3 years or so before we're looking at them as employees. So what better recruitment tool is that than to have someone here on our site being able to see how they're going to do. And in all actuality, we actually are putting them through a period of time where we can evaluate them and determine what type of employee they're going to be and mold them into the employee that we'd like to have here. That being said, it gives them some investment in our department and hopefully allows us to retain them as employees for a good long period of time once we have them in the system and they start working. And this pipeline for our hiring pool, as the program continues to expand, we've had lots of great discussions very recently, and as the program expands, could give us a large number of students able to enter the workforce and be in our pipeline for hiring within our department. The fire service is a fantastic career. I'm in my 31st year in the fire service, and the pathway program, although it was not formally developed as we have it now, is something that I would have been considered participating in. I know I don't look it, but I started riding fire trucks when I was 10 years old, many moons ago, when nobody frowned upon that kind of thing. So all these things that I learned going through a middle school and high school program where I grew up are those things that really make this program very important for us. So we're just excited that we have that we have the ability to have this chance to be in these students' lives and hopefully have some type of input in how they're going to turn out as adults. And honestly, being in the system that we're in, they're going to these same serious calls that everybody sees and hears about, and gives them the opportunity to grow as individuals and become leaders. And potentially many of them want to be sitting in the position that I'm currently sitting in, where they're in the training academy and they're teaching some of these students that are in the pathway program. And what better testament would that be than for some of these students who we have seen come through actually be involved in training and teaching those students 5, 8, 10 years down the road. So thank you very much for allowing us to present and give you an idea of what our firefighter pathway program does. And of course, we're always here to answer any questions that you might have. Thank you very much.
And thank you, Captain Weller. And you'll probably have other businesses just contacting you to really find out the model that you put in place and working hand in hand with the school district to create those immediate entering firefighting positions. So
yes, ma'am. And actually, that being said, we have a couple of meetings slated with other fire departments across the state of Georgia, not just here locally in Metro Atlanta, that are already in our books and already ready for us to sit down and talk with them, because they're very eager to have this program in their department as well. So thank you very much.
Thank you. And we were glad to be the first. So now we're going to have our closing question with Ms. Valencia Williamson, our president and CEO of Clayton County Chamber of Commerce. And Greg is holding up an image that says thank you to all of our panelists. So Ms. Williamson, based on our discussion today, what might the Chamber do to better connect members with CTAE? And that you will have our closing question.
Thank you so much for the opportunity. I'm glad you asked. As I've been sitting here listening to all of the plethora of opportunities that are available to students, regardless of your path, I'm hearing, I think, a recurring theme. And the recurring theme is continued training and soft skills and opportunity. And so, I think as a Chamber of Commerce, what comes to mind immediately for me is a hands-on career expo with all of the key players that are here today and many more, in our communities that we're not aware of, so that students can actually put their hands on the opportunities that are available in the community. Not only hear about them and jot down the links and get the information, and I understand that in this virtual environment, we are limited today, but in the future, the chamber should, I think, coordinate such an event where we bring in all the opportunities for career pathways and in one setting, and also have our 2-year and 4-year partners. Military is on hand, and direct workforce is on hand. Employers who are hiring and those who have the opportunities to tell you what's next and how to go about achieving it. We can certainly pull together our partners at Clayton County's Economic Development Department and the Development Authority, our friends over at the Aerotropolis, to have such an event that is Clayton specific, but that also provides all these opportunities in a one-stop shop, so that way you're not searching all over for them. I'll connect with Dr. Shepard and Mr. Gould about this so that we can talk about how we can prepare such an event. The second piece that comes to mind, I mentioned soft skills. That is so uber important. And I know Dr. Beasley mentioned soft skills, Dr. Shepard has mentioned soft skills, and I cannot harp on it enough. Making sure that you are prepared in terms of walking directly into the workforce and having such skills that will then separate you from the rest is invaluable. And I think also, the chamber could, again, play a vital role in preparing you for those workplace realities. It's all about fit at the end of the day for an employer. It's all about fit. I'm going through it right now. I'm hiring for a position and I'm getting tons of resumes, and people are highly educated and experienced. But at the end of the day, it's going to come down to fit and the soft skills that they have and that they bring to the table. And so I will say that again to make sure that you're honing in on those soft skills, and the Chamber of Commerce can certainly be a resource for providing you with what employers are looking for as you are out there charting your path and determining how you want to proceed in terms of your postgraduate success. So that's my 2 cents, unless you have another question for me.
No, that's it. Well said and well established next steps as a result of today's panel discussion, Ms. Williamson. So thank you. And thank you to all of our panel members. I know we are slightly over time, but we have to hear from a few of our students. They have questions and they've been waiting. And so I just want to, if you have a moment, just hear from just a couple. And so first we have Nija Jackson from Mount Zion High School who has a question. And Nija, if you're on, you can unmute and pose your question to the panel.
Yes, good morning. My name is Nija Jackson and I'm a senior at Mount Zion High School. And my question would be for Lieutenant Colonel Rodney Pitts. What would disqualify a student from enlisting into the military?
Naja, that's a great question. There are several things out there that can disqualify you. I'm going to speak on them in a general term, but the main thing, do not let certain things deter you, but I'm going to speak on these things specifically. One, if you have a criminal record. And what I mean by a criminal record, and that depends on what type of crime that you have committed. And you will be able to get that type of information, again, through a recruiter. One of the other things is physical fitness. That is very important to make sure that you're healthy. So you will have to take just like any job, you will have to, take a physical exam to determine your fitness for being in the military. You have to be a U.S. citizen, okay, to join the military, or have legal, stay here in the United States to be here. But those are some of the critical things that you got to have. And in most cases, at least a GED, okay? But again, those are things that question, I would like for you to go into a recruiting office and ask that specific question so they can give you the details. And oh, by the way, every branch of the military have a recruiting office that you can talk to. So just don't limit yourself to one branch. You go to all the branches and speak to them on that, because they have different standards for each of the branches.
Thank you so much. And thank you. Great question. So next we will have Osa Erme Olaye from Mundy's Mill High School.
Good morning, everyone. My name is Osairome Olaye, and I'm a junior at Mundy's Mill High School, and I have a question for Ms. Tracy Gilbert. How would one with no prior experience begin to look for a job in the airline industry?
Ms. Gilbert, you need to unmute.
You know, the air carriers, they have their own individual dedicated website. They're separate from the Department of Aviation. But what you would want to do is go visit their website, and whatever you find out there that says high school diploma, that would be your entry into learning more about those particular careers. But I can tell you that you don't have to have a college degree to be a flight attendant or to be a part of the flight crew. You know, there are many, many hands that touch the aircraft before it actually takes flight. So I will put my name and my contact information in the chat. And if you would like one-on-one conversations about that, I would definitely be interested in talking with you about that. But just thinking about when I said getting aviation in your blood, taking an opportunity to join our customer service teams. We're looking for volunteers. High school students need volunteer hours, community service credit. So signing up as a volunteer to help with directional porting, greeting passengers throughout the terminal can lead you into a position with one of our air carriers. So again, you know, it's really what your passion is and how that will make a fit to their hiring needs. There are those college-bound positions, and there are those vocational positions that you can do right out of high school.
Thank you, Ms. Gilbert. And thank you, Osairme. Thank you so much. And two final questions. Mr. Daniel Zavala Halifax from Riverdale High School, and following Daniel, Michaela Clark from Jonesboro High School.
Hello, everybody. Good morning, everybody. My name is Daniel Zavala Fox. I'm a senior at Riverdale High School, and my question goes to Dr. Hazel Mays. Especially now with the virtual learning due to the pandemic, where do you see the profession of teaching going in the next 5 to 10 years?
Absolutely. Thank you, Daniel, for the question. Well, I believe that distance learning is here to stay, virtual learning. I think that what we saw with the pandemic, I know in higher ed, we had been using a lot of virtual and distance learning. It was a part of our instructional delivery. But now after the pandemic or during the pandemic, we see that K-12 is a situation where that is developing quickly. And I think that it's going to be here to stay. And that's going to be an increased part of teacher training, in that K-12 teachers should expect that virtual learning will be a part of teaching delivery now and in the future.
And I agree with you, Dr. Hayes. And great question, Daniel. Thank you. Michaela?
Thank you.
Good morning, everyone. My name is Michaela Clark. I'm a junior at Jonesboro High School, and my question is for Dr. Eichelberger. So my question is, what are the top jobs in the healthcare industry, and where are the biggest shortages?
Well, thank you for your question. The biggest shortage is probably in nursing. We, as I mentioned earlier, we don't know the effect of COVID. So I think it's going to take us a little bit of time to sort all of that out. But, and every state is a little bit different. There are surpluses in some states, but Georgia is predicted. We do have a shortage, particularly in rural areas, but even in the metro area, we have a shortage of nurses, but there are shortages in many, many different capacities throughout healthcare. So I would strongly suggest that you look into that area as well. We have a shortage in primary care physicians. We have a doctor shortage as well in Georgia. So there are many shortages throughout. All of healthcare in Georgia is a high demand. Mental health counselors are in dire demand throughout the state of Georgia. So if there's any particular career, I put my email in there and you can ask me about it. But those are the ones that stand out.
Thank you, Dr. Eichelberger, and thank you, Michaela, for inquiring further about those professions. So this officially concludes our panel discussion. Thank you, students, for your great questions. I know there were more, but hopefully you all will take advantage of the resources that have been shared in the chat box, as well as your counselors, your CTAED supervisors, and your workforce innovators that support your schools. They will be able to address any other questions that you have. And thank you tremendously to our expert and our informative panel discussion. The information that you have provided has been exceptional. It's been a wealth of knowledge. And so thank you for your time. Thank you for sticking with us as we went over for a moment. And at this time, I'm going to toss it over to Dr. Beasley, just for our call to action, and then Mary Shepherd.
Well, thank you, Dr. Lee. Thank you to all the panelists. Thank you to Ms. Shepherd and Dr. Lee and the team for organizing this event. Thank you for making it a priority on this Friday. I'll just leave with a simple call to action. I will say two things. Inform. Let's continue to inform everyone about our various opportunities, the various career opportunities that are available in our respective areas or professions. And then not only inform, but let's all act. I want the students to take action. When you hear good information, you need to act upon that information. And I'd like the employers to also act by ensuring that you make it a priority to ensure that students from Clayton County are afforded when those applications and those requests and those emails and whatever the communication tools that they're using, when they come across your desk, your devices, please make it a point to ensure that we expand these opportunities to our students here in Clayton County. We're doing our best to prepare them with the right criticality and soft skills. We want you to ensure that our students are given, don't give them anything, but one thing, an opportunity, a chance to fulfill a dream and aspiration as they matriculate through our school system and prepare for their lives. Our children are very deserving. They're hardworking, they're dedicated, they're committed, they're very intelligent young people. And so we want all of you to know that we support our students. We thank you for your participation. Thank you. Continue to inform, but most importantly, let's continue to act upon the information that we're receiving. Again, thank you, team, for a well done program. I look forward to another opportunity to engage our community in college and careers. Thank you, panelists, and have a great Friday and a great weekend.
Thank you, Dr. Beasley, and Ms. Shepherd and Dr. Simpson, bring us home for this evening.
I just want to thank everybody. At this point, I'm just speechless. You all have said it all. I thank you for the wealth of knowledge that you share, not only with our students, but I had a couple of teachers to reach out to me as you all were presenting to say, I'm learning something. My admin reached out to me to say, I'm taking notes. This is great. We're expanding. So I just want to thank you all for taking your time. And we look forward, definitely looking forward so that we can all commune together again where we're all in the same space after COVID, and we can present to our students and we can talk to them face to face. So that is our goal. I thank you all. It was very informative. I have chills all over my body. Thank you, Dr. Lee. You did an awesome job with moderating. Thank you, Dr. Beasley, for leading Clayton County and the family. And thank you, Dr. Simpson, for allowing us to do this type of work. So onward and upward, you all. I'm just excited. Thank you.
Dr. Simpson, last word of the day.
Very, very quickly. Ditto, 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 ditto. Can't thank you enough. I'm not going to repeat anything that has been said because it's all been wonderful. I just hope, and this is my ask of the students that's on this call, on this Zoom. I need for you to be persistent and consistent in making sure that you continue to reach out to all of the business the businesses that were represented here this morning, it is critical that you become a thorn in their side and continue to ask for information on how you can continue to involve and evolve a career aspiration that's been presented to you or possibly been presented to you this morning. This is a wealth of opportunity. And I've heard that repeated consistently, opportunity, but I want to add that access has been provided and that as a school district, one of our major responsibilities is to be able to provide a platform for you at any level, whether that's for your choice to go into the military, to the workforce, or whether it be to colleges, universities. We've completed that task. A door has been opened for you this morning. And I need for you to step into that door, students. Step into that door of opportunity, because these opportunities don't come by very, very often, and they're not extended to any and all. So we've provided you with the information. We've brought the businesses to you. That relationship and that partnership that's been established, that will continue to be maintained and sustained. We need for you right now to step in the door. It's not the shoes that you wear, it's the steps that you take. Remember that it's not the shoes that you wear, it's the steps that you take. And at this point, I need for you to take steps. Again, thank you to the panelists. You all have a wonderful weekend. Stay dry. And we look forward to the next time we're able to get together and give this beautiful opportunity to our children. Thank you very, very much.
Thank you, Dr. Simpson. Thank you all. Thank you all so much.
And I just want to take this time to thank the CTAED staff for working with us. All of them are on the last slide, and I just want to thank them for working as a team. We have Ed Cook, which is one of our work-based learning coordinators, Greg Gould, who's our youth apprenticeship coordinator, D. Wayne Martin, Rod Gardner, and Michelle Jones, work-based learning coordinators, and our office manager, Ms. Kareem Francis. So I just want to thank all of you all for the work that we continue to do.
Because we opened so early, there was no
Thank you.
So,
okay, you all, this concludes our session. Thank you. And thank you to Mr. Craig Coleman for executively producing today's session. Thank you all.
Thank you, Craig.
Bye, you all. Have a great rest of your day. And we'll stay on if there are questions for us. But if not, then you